Hi, this is Rudy Jones of HamiltonStateBaseball.com with the South Carolina College Baseball video recap for Sunday, May the 4th. There were 22 games involving state teams played on Sunday. Let's take a look at what went on. First, we'll start with the Division I schools. Down in Tallahassee, Clemson finished off its 6-3 win over Florida State in the first game of a doubleheader. It was actually the completion of a suspended game from Saturday. The Tigers had tied the score at 3-3 on a triple by Cam Canarella in the 8th inning. Then he rumbled, stumbled, bumbled, and scored the go-ahead run. Clemson added 2 runs today to make the final score 6-3. But in the nightcap, the Seminoles got off to a 10-0 lead. Clemson got back within 2 runs at 11-9, and Florida scored the last 9 runs, winning in walk-off fashion 20-9. The Seminoles hit 6 home runs in Game 2. With the split, Clemson fell to 37-12 overall, 14-10 in the ACC. Florida State is 33-10 and 14-7. For Clemson, Dominic Lipsky had 2 doubles, a walk, 2 runs scored, and an RBI in the completion of the suspended game. Josh Pano had a home run and drove in 3 runs in the other game, the regularly scheduled game. Down in Conway, Coastal Carolina wrapped up a Sun Belt Conference Series sweep of Appalachian State by the score of 10-1. The Chants got off to an early lead, had a rain delay which cost them the starter Riley Eichhoff, but they went on, finished it up at 10-1. That was their 12th straight Big South Sun Belt Conference game victory, and they are now 37-11 overall, 24 in the Sun Belt. They've won 7 straight games overall, but they're only 2 games up on Southern Miss, which is also charging in the Sun Belt. For the Chanticleers in that win today, Blake Barthol was 2 for 4 with 2 walks, a run scored, and an RBI. 4 Coastal pitchers combined for a 6-hitter. Also, Blagan Pato singled, homered, and drove in 3 runs. He also had a grand slam earlier this week and a grand slam the previous weekend. So Pato is really coming on for the Chanticleers at this time. Appalachian fell to 21-26 overall, 11-13 in the Sun Belt. Hayden Thomas allowed 1 run over 6 1/3 innings, and College of Charleston took the rubber game of the series up at William and Mary by a score of 12-3. The Cougars are now 27-19 overall, 10-11 in the Coastal Athletic Association. William and Mary fell to 20-27 and 13-8. For the Cougars, Darian Pendergrass had 2 doubles, a stolen base, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. Elsewhere, Preston Lucas homered twice, and he drove in 6 runs for the 2nd straight day, and USC Upstate rolled past Longwood by a score of 14-4 to complete a Big South Conference Series win. Henry Zener also homered for the Spartans. He was 3 for 6. With that win, Upstate is now 26-22 overall, 13-5 in the Big South. Longwood fell to 11-37 and 5-16. Up in Greensboro, the Citadel got game 1 of a doubleheader at UNC Greensboro. They won that game 8-7, second straight 8-7 win for the Bulldogs on the weekend. That clinched a series win, but Greensboro came back with an 18-3 win in the nightcap. With that split, the Citadel is now 25-20 overall, 9-6 in the SoCon. Greensboro is 19-27 and 8-7. UNC Greensboro, by the way, they had 7 and 9 run innings back to back. That's why they pulled in charge. Mercer collected 16 hits and won the series finale at Wofford. The final score there was 10-8. The Bears are now 31-19 overall, 10-8 in the Southern Conference. Wofford is 27-22 and 5-10. Down in Columbia, Gamecock fans, I have to mention, I'll give all the scores. Florida won 2 more games against South Carolina. They won the completion of the suspended game from yesterday. The final score was 22-3. That's right, 22-3. The Gators pushed out to an 11-3 lead. USC missed multiple opportunities to have a better chance at the game, but they didn't. One of the highlights was KJ Scobie had a home run for the Gamecocks. And in Game 2, it was not much better. They only played 7 innings, and Gamecocks got beat 8-0. So Carolina got swept by Florida at home. Florida had not won a game in Columbia since 2019, but that all changed this weekend. Caden Gaskin, part of the merry-go-round of players in the lineup for Coach Paul Maneri's squad, had 2 of Carolina's 4 hits in the nightcap. With that sweep, Florida improved to 33-16 overall, 11-13 in the SEC. They started out 2-11 in the SEC. They figured out what to do apparently. South Carolina fell to 26-23 and 5-19, and the prospect of a losing season is becoming more and more possible for the Gamecocks. Also, USC was without first baseman Bo Hollins today. He apparently suffered some kind of hamstring issue in yesterday's game and was unable to go today. And the only other games involving the Division I teams on Sunday, the state teams, High Point jumped on PC early and won both games. First game score was 8-5. Second game score was 15-5. High Point's in first place in the Big South, by the way. The Panthers are 33-14 overall, 14-4 in the Big South. PC fell to 9-12 in the Big South and 17-27 overall, and they're now 10 games below 500. Looking at tournament time, let's go down to Greenwood. Lander won its 3rd straight game. They beat Georgia College today by a score of 8-2 to win the Greenwood bracket of the Peach Belt Conference playoffs. The Bearcats will now await the winner of Monday's Columbus State and North Georgia game to see who they play and where they go in the best-of-3 conference tournament championship next weekend. If North Georgia wins, the Bearcats will be going down to Dahlonega. If Columbus State should win that game on Monday, then the best-of-3 series will be at Dolney Stadium in Greenwood. Also, earlier in the day at Greenwood, Georgia College reached that title game against Lander by rallying late to beat USC Aiken. Aiken has scored 5 runs in the top of the 8th to go up by a score of 7-6, and the Bobcats scored 5 in the bottom of the inning to win. Josh Sharp was 4 for 5 with a steal, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBI for the Pacers in that game. In the Continental Athletic Conference tournament down in Lawrenceville, Georgia, Fisher beat Spartanburg Methodist 9-6. That now ends SMC's season. In their first year as a 4-year school, the Pioneers finished 20-29. Might have been good news for the Pioneers, though they didn't make the championship game. In the championship game, Fisher played Georgia Gwinnett and got beat 30-0. So Georgia Gwinnett wins that conference tournament. Elsewhere, in the South Atlantic Conference, it all came to an end for Limestone today. As you know, the school is closing after this year, and the Saints qualified for the conference tournament for the first time in a decade or so. I think Brett Harker maybe said 13 years. And they won their first game, lost their second game to Catawba. Then on Sunday, Coker and Newberry had to play an elimination game to advance to play Limestone. And Coker beat Newberry 6-3 as Hunter Poole had a couple of hits, drove in a run and scored a run. Then in the Limestone-Coker game, in the 7th inning, Sion Barnett, the game was 3-2 in favor of Coker. Limestone tied the game. Then Sion Barnett hit a grand slam to put the Saints up 7-3. Coker got a late home run to make it 7-5. But by hitting that grand slam and the Saints holding on, they got to extend their season, the baseball life of the program, if you would, for a couple more hours. However, Catawba beat the Saints in the championship game of the Salisbury bracket 8-3. Excuse me. Corey Hodiern had 3 hits and drove in 2 runs for the Saints in their final game ever. It ended about 8:47, depending on how slow the internet replay was. But that's it for Limestone College baseball, Limestone University baseball. I hope all the players that still have eligibility are able to find a place somewhere, as well as the coaching staff. Brett Harker's a good guy, and I hope he lands on his feet. Elsewhere, in the Conference Carolinas tournament, all the South Carolina teams were eliminated on yesterday. Today, Belmont Abbey beat Barton 15-4 in 8 innings, which sent the Crusaders up to another elimination game against Emmanuel later that day. Belmont Abbey beat Emmanuel 3-1, and now Belmont Abbey will play Young Harris on Monday in Gastonia, needing to beat them twice to win the Conference Carolinas tournament championship. Elsewhere, in the HBCU Athletic Conference tournament down in up in North Little Rock, Talladega won that one 8-3 over Southern University in New Orleans. And in the SIAC tournament in Macon. Savannah State beat Spring Hill to stay alive. Then Albany State beat Savannah State 14-12 to win the tournament. That brings us to the Region 10 tournament down in Lexington. Of course, they got their schedule messed up because of rain on Saturday. They got a better chance to get back on track today. They'll play a couple of games tomorrow. But what happened today was, going from the top, Gaston College was down to USC Lancaster late, got the tying run. Then a two-run homer in the bottom of the ninth gave the Rhinos a 6-4 walk-off win over USC Lancaster. Joey Nicholson hit that game-winning homer for the Rhinos in that game. That forced Lancaster into another game later in the day, and unfortunately they got run ruled. Unfortunately for them, Union was playing well. USC Union beat them 11-1. Mason Elrod was 3 for 5 with a double for the Bantams. In between those two games, USC Sumter shut out USC Salkehatchie by a score of 5-0 on a combined shutout by Jeb Britt and Jace Martin. So the Fire Ants are now 30-24. They advance to Monday's action. But the game of the day was quite likely the last one. Gaston College, after having that big comeback win on earlier in the day, they jump out on top seed Florence Darlington Tech. They're up 7-1, going to the bottom of the seventh inning. Well, what happens? The Stingers come back with 5 runs in the seventh inning to make it 7-6. The Fire Ants get one more run. Gaston gets a run, and then FD Tech gets 4 runs in the bottom of the eighth to go up 10-8. They hold on to win. They advance to Tuesday's championship game. So what will happen now is on Monday, while the Stingers get to rest up, you will have USC Sumter will play USC Union at 2 o'clock in a elimination game. Then the winner of that USC Sumter Union game has to turn around and play Gaston College at 5 o'clock for the right to play FD Tech on Tuesday. And whoever reaches the title game against FD Tech would have to win twice, whereas FD Tech only needs one win. Elsewhere, looking at the schedules, let's go back to the ACC and SEC standings after Sunday. Other ACC games on Sunday: Pitt swept Virginia Tech. First game score was 5-3. Second game score was 14-13 in 13 innings. Stanford beat Boston College by a score of 11-7, and NC State at Miami was canceled. There were some non-conference games played. Duke beat Radford twice, 15-0 and 17-5. Georgia Tech beat Western Carolina 13-0, and Wake Forest beat Gardner-Webb a couple of times. ACC standings after Sunday: Florida State's at 14-7, NC State's at 15-8, followed by Georgia Tech and North Carolina at 15-9. Miami is at 14-9. Clemson is now tied for Duke at 6th place at 14-10. Louisville is 13-11. Virginia Tech's 11-10. Wake Forest 12-12. Those are the teams that are 500 or better. In the SEC, Georgia beat Missouri 4-2 to complete a series sweep. Mississippi State completed a series sweep of Kentucky 6-1. Ole Miss beat Oklahoma 7-3. Tennessee beat Auburn 5-4 in the completion of a Saturday game suspended by rain. And then the Tigers came back to win the regular scheduled game 8-1. Texas A&M beat LSU 6-4. Vanderbilt beat Alabama 9-7. So Texas and Arkansas, the two top teams, were already through with their series. They finished it up on Saturday. Texas is in first at 19-5. Arkansas is 2 games back at 17-7. LSU and Georgia share third place at 15-9, 2 games behind the Hogs, 4 games behind the Longhorns. Another game back are Tennessee and Vanderbilt at 14-10. Alabama, Oklahoma, Auburn, and Ole Miss are all at 13-11. Then comes Florida, which is 11-13. Kentucky's 10-14. Texas A&M is also 10-14. Mississippi State is also 10-14. Then let's skip down 5 more spots, and South Carolina's at 5-19 and still trying to avoid finishing in last place. Missouri is 0-24, so the Gamecocks need to get another win or two and some Missouri losses to make sure they don't finish last. Of course, all the teams go to the SEC tournament, but if you go on a long losing streak, you really want to go. We'll find out about that later. Let's get back to the rest of the Monday schedule after, as I mentioned, the Region 10 games that are going to be going on. Also on Monday, excuse me, I need to take a drink I've got a throat issue. Bob Jones is going to be competing in the National Christian College Athletic Association South Regional down in Oakland Park, Florida. The Bruins will play Southeastern Baptist at 10 o'clock. Toccoa Falls will play Trinity Baptist at 1. Fort Lauderdale is the top seed. They'll play the Bob Jones Southeastern Baptist winner at 4 o'clock. In the Peach Belt Conference, as I mentioned, Columbus State and North Georgia will play at 1 o'clock for the Dahlonega Bracket Championship. With a win, North Georgia stays at home next week. With a loss, Columbus State travels to Lander. In the Conference Carolinas tournament up in Gastonia, Young Harris is at home. It plays Belmont Abbey at 11 o'clock at Caramont Health Park for the Conference Carolinas title. Well, that's about all I've got for the South Carolina College Baseball video recap for Sunday, May the 4th. I'll have some new things tomorrow. I'll keep updates. Always check PalmettoStateBaseball.com. I intend to drop a podcast tomorrow if nothing happens, and just keep on going from there. I hope you like my coverage. Let me know if you do. Let me know if you don't. I want to see what I can do better. Anyway, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com saying good night. Jesus loves you.